people celebrating, and hundreds more making their way into the square. Earlier there was a prayer that was led by a controversial cleric for some people, Sheikh Yusuf Qaradawi. Now he is a man who has been at odds many times with the government of Hosni Mubarak. At times he was banned from coming to Egypt, but he is a man who actually supported the protests when they first started. He had some very harsh and sometimes personal words towards Hosni Mubarak. So the activists here say that in recognition of his role and his call that actually pushed a lot of people to join the protests at the time, they invited him to lead the first prayer after the fall of President Hosni Mubarak.
Hoda, it's very, very loud and noisy behind you there. It's important to note, though, for our viewers that today is not just about celebrating the end of Mubarak's rule for these protesters. There's more to it.
Definitely, there's more than the victory. Many would tell you that it's still not all over. And I think the slogans that are being chanted today demonstrate that. Some of the slogans say, "We don't want Shafiq." That is the caretaker Prime Minister Ahmad Shafiq. Other slogans say, "We want the purification of the country." Because there is a belief that, yes, Hosni Mubarak has gone, Vice President Omar Suleiman has gone, maybe the government that was in charge at the time that the protest has gone, but the system is still there. So they want to make sure that the entire system is changed, that some people who are still in charge, who have been close to the former government and the former president, are also stripped of their jobs. They also want to make sure that that many people are investigated, not the ones that have been declared so far. They think that corruption is endemic at many levels of the society, and that needs to be cleared. And also they do want to keep the pressure on the military to remind them that this revolt was calling for a civilian rule, and to make sure that the military actually will keep its word that within 6 months this will turn into a civilian-ruled country.
Okay, Hoda Abdelhamid, overlooking a very noisy Tahrir Square there in Cairo. Thanks for now, Hoda. A victory rally is also taking place in Egypt's second largest city, Alexandria. Jamal Al-Shail is there for us. Jamal, what's happening where you are?
Tens of thousands of people have taken to the streets here fully in central Alexandria, outside the Qa'id Ibrahim Mosque here near Mahatat al-Ramli, which has been the epicenter, the focal point of pro-democracy demonstrations in recent weeks. And just as Sheikh Yusuf al-Qaradawi was leading the protest or the Friday prayers in Tahrir Square, the Imam here, or the leader of the prayer in Qa'id Ibrahim Mosque, is also a very well-known anti-government religious scholar who was also banned by the Mubarak regime, and before that, President Sadat. And the fact that these people are coming out and these people have such huge followings, as you can see behind me, the thousands of people still gathered, is testament to how much support this pro-democracy movement has. The people here say that although they've managed to successfully remove Mubarak, they still demand their rights. And those rights, they say, are the fact that hundreds of people were killed in this, to use the term they're using, the revolution, and that they need compensation for those people. Also, one of the most crucial points that people here continue to say, they say they will continue to protest at least once a week until the millions of dollars worth of money they claim Mubarak and his people embezzled of Egyptian money, they say this money must return to the Egyptians. So the people here are calling for trials, tribunals. They're calling for none of these people, Mubarak or those around him, to be allowed to leave the country, and that they say they must face justice.
Okay, thank you very much, Jamal Al-Shail, for that update from Alexandria in Egypt. In Bahrain, hundreds have marched in support of the country's ruling monarchy. Bahrain state television showed people waving flags and holding up pictures of the king as they marched in the capital, Manama. Now, this came as thousands attended funerals for 4 people killed when the country's security forces attacked pro-democracy demonstrators on Thursday. Mourners at one funeral called for an end to the monarchy in Bahrain. The country's top Shia cleric called the attack on Thursday on protesters a, quote, massacre. The military remains, meanwhile, on the streets of Manama. Let's now speak to Mariam Al-Khawaja. She's the Foreign Relations Officer at Bahrain Center for Human Rights. Joins us on the line from Sitra. Mariam, I understand that you were at the funeral of one of those killed on Thursday. Tell us about what happened there and how was this protester killed?
Yeah, the attack happened on Thursday morning at 3 a.m. Most people were sleeping. There were children and women sleeping inside the tents. And one of the youth came to wake the people up at around 3 or 3:30 in the morning, telling them that he got news that the riot police were arriving, but people brushed it off as a rumor, and they went back to sleep. And within minutes, the riot police had covered the flyover bridge that faced the roundabout, and they started shooting at the people who started gathering in the roundabouts because they were wondering what was happening. People were still inside their tents when they started shooting. There was no prior warning or notification. After they started shooting, people started chanting, "Peaceful, peaceful," and they started retreating to the backside of the roundabouts, only to find that there were riot police coming from the backside as well, who also started shooting at them. The shooting was non-stop. They were using tear gas, bird shotguns, and rubber bullets, and people started running in one direction after this. There were women running, trying to grab onto their children as they were running, and after we started all running in one point, we saw that there were riot police coming from that side as well.
So you're telling us that you were being attacked on all sides. Now, the authorities have said the reason they reacted this way was because some of the protesters there in Pearl Roundabout actually had weapons on them, knives and so on. Did you see any of that?
No, I was there every single day of the protest, and on that night I was there. There was not a single knife or a single sword. I mean, even if you look at the report that was presented by the ministry, I mean, if you look at it, a lot of people were sending me messages that they thought it was hilarious because they had put on such a play for them on TV. I mean, the Ministry of Interior, they videotape every single attack they make on protests. And this is not just this time. They always do that. In the past 10 years, every single protest I've been to has always been filmed by members of the riot police or the security forces. So why was it that they did not show the attack itself to show people carrying knives and swords? And I think that speaks for itself. The fact that they showed knives and swords on blankets, and there was a machete. I mean, come on, machete in Bahrain? I've never seen anyone own a machete in Bahrain. There's no reason for them to. So to see swords and knives just put on a blanket, saying that it was there and it was used against them, I think that's just ridiculous.
Okay, thank you very much for speaking to us, Mariam Al-Khawaja, the Foreign Relations Officer of Bahrain Center for Human Rights, on the line there with us about the events in that country. Now, in Libya, there have been a string of protests against longtime leader Muammar Gaddafi. Soldiers have been deployed in the country's second largest city, Benghazi, after thousands took to the streets there overnight. There have been reports of confrontations between pro-democracy and security forces in the eastern city of Al-Baida. There have also been